On the morning of its expected arrival, the Shiv Ganga Express pulled into Lucknow Charbagh station exactly on its scheduled time. But when authorities stepped inside, they found a quiet, terrifying anomaly. Coach S9 was completely empty. There were no struggling passengers, no signs of a fight, and not a single piece of luggage left on the berths. Dozens of people had boarded that specific sleeper coach the night before in Delhi. Somewhere along a heavily monitored, routine route, they disappeared without a trace. A locked coach on a moving train is a strictly controlled environment. To lose an entire carriage of people between two checkpoints, without a single open door or broken window, represents a total collapse of logistical reality. The night began normally. Passengers boarded in New Delhi on schedule, settled into their berths, and fell asleep during what should have been a routine journey. At exactly 3:17 a.m., that normalcy abruptly ended. The massive train ground to a sudden, violent halt. Outside, passengers saw nothing but a thick, disorienting fog. There were no platform lights, no station signs, and no landmarks. They were parked at a location that appeared on no official railway map. Seconds later, the power failed. Every light inside coach S9 cut out at once, leaving the passengers in total darkness. A distorted voice crackled over the hijacked intercom system, delivering a chilling warning. Whoever steps off this train will never return. The synchronized power failure and the targeted intercom message changed the nature of the stop. This was an act of active containment. As panic set in, one passenger, an elderly man, realized where they were. He whispered that this station had been destroyed by a fire 20 years ago. As if triggered by his words, the automated doors of the coach slid open, inviting the freezing fog into the cabin. A girl in white emerged from the mist and stepped onto the train. Half of her face was severely scarred by fire. She moved down the aisle, eventually stopping before a small child. When the child asked who she was, the girl replied, "I am the last passenger of this train." Her presence acted as a link between the present and the past. The tragedy of 20 years ago was no longer history. It had physically entered the carriage. The train suddenly lurched forward, leaving the ghost station behind. For a moment, the passengers believed they were returning to safety, but the windows showed only absolute darkness. The train traveled through a void stripped of any light. Inside, technology failed and cellular signals vanished. When passengers checked their watches, the hands were frozen. They had been removed from the normal flow of time. Without maps, communication, or even a working clock, the passengers were trapped. They had no way to call for help and no way to tell how long they had been gone. The haunting then moved from the environment into the immediate personal space of the passengers. A charred, bloody hand lunged out from the shadows beneath a seat, gripping the floorboards with terrifying strength. A voice from the darkness beneath the berths whispered, "After so many years, finally, someone has returned." Panic took over the coach. Passengers scrambled to get away as the train hurtled through the void, refusing to stop at any recognizable station. The haunting had turned predatory. The anomaly was now physically removing people from their seats, harvesting victims as the train sped through the dark. Eventually, the sun rose. The darkness outside the windows faded, and the interior of the train returned to its normal state. But the cost was high. Out of the entire crowded carriage, only 11 passengers remained. The news the following day was even more disturbing. It stated that the Shiv Ganga Express arrived exactly on time, but that coach S9 was completely empty when it reached the platform. The 11 survivors were left with a trauma the rest of the world couldn't see. They had experienced a journey through a gap in the map that officially does not exist. The mystery of Coach S9 serves as a warning that our routine world is fragile. It suggests that between two well-known points, there are shadows where a mundane commute simply vanishes.